Today we're going to expose the unfolding communist revolution in Connecticut. You wouldn't believe it, but Connecticut is one of the most communist-controlled states in the Union. This is for my friends up there. It's a beautiful state, and I wish you didn't have to put up with this. But even if you're not from Connecticut, I think you'll learn something from this, so please stay tuned. So like the show, spread it round, let people know what we're doing. We've got to stop the revolution in America. Well, Connecticut is just not very far away from New York, so the communists filtered down there. They settled in Connecticut. They really took over New Haven. They're strong in Hartford. They've got a lot of strength in the unions in Connecticut.
Unions will hold rallies across 4 cities in Connecticut. It's called the Working People Rally.
In the Working Families Party, in the Democratic Party, they have connections to almost all of the leading figures in Connecticut, and I think they drive most of the policy. I think the Communist Party is why Connecticut is one of the most highly taxed states in the Union, why its budget is imploding, while the state is in extreme distress.
Connecticut is losing revenue. There's been a decline in income tax payments and withholdings. Payments have been delayed because so many people are unemployed.
I put it right back at the Communist Party and its influence. So what do I mean? Well, I want to go through some of the top communists in Connecticut to let people know who they are, some of the front groups they work on, then show you a pictorial display of these communists with some of your leading officials. You'll be shocked at how much they're connected. Now, the Connecticut Communist Party works through a few fronts. One of them is the Connecticut Alliance for Retired Americans. This is an AFL-CIO affiliate, and in the state of Connecticut, it's almost completely run by communists. It is their front. They also are strong in the Working Families Party. They also run the New Haven Peace Council, which is affiliated to the US Peace Council, which is affiliated to the World Peace Council, which is a Soviet front. It is now controlled largely by Cuban and Greek communists, but is one of the main world communist front groups, if not the main communist front group today. And its job is basically to propagandize against the US military and US military alliances, and strengthen Russia, China, and all the enemies of America by disarming this country. So some of the top communists in Connecticut, well, I'm going to start right at the top. That's Joelle Fishman. She's been in the party since the 70s at least. Her father, George, and her mother, Edie, both long-time Communist Party members. She's a red diaper baby. She was brought up in the party. Now, she's undoubtedly the head of the Communist Party in Connecticut, and she also serves on the Communist Party National Political Committee. She's the head of it, the Political Action Committee. So her job is to liaise with the Democratic Party and move the Democratic Party as far left as she can. That's a very, very senior position. She's one of the most dangerous subversives in the country. And you look at her, she looks like anybody's grandmother. But she's extremely dedicated, a very convinced communist, and has done lots of damage to this country.
I joined the Communist Party as a teen during the upsurge of the 1960s to end white supremacy, the war against Vietnam, and win union rights. In the Communist Party, I found a home that not only struggles day to day, but has a vision for a better future. The brutality of Trumpism threatens to turn back all the rights fought for and won during the freedom struggle so far. That's why I'm proud to be all in with the Communist Party to organize a massive and united voter turnout in the historic 2020 elections. The time is now to end exploitation and structural racism and guarantee health care, housing, education, social security, living wage jobs, equality, and peace with climate justice as basic human rights. Let's dump Trump and organize together to put people and planet before profits. My name is Joelle Fishman, and I endorse #VoteAgainstFascism.
She is married to a man called Art Perlow. He's an economist. He was at Yale, I believe. Works with her on the Connecticut Alliance for Retired Americans, etc. His father was Victor Perlow, a bona fide Soviet spy during World War II, working in the government in Washington, head of a major Soviet spy ring. So his son is now helping to lead the Connecticut Communist Party. You've also got in New Haven Henry Lohendorf, a long-time Communist Party member, very, very active in the New Haven Peace Council. Also, you have the Reverend Scott Marks, a long-time Pentecostal minister who now runs New Haven Rising, which is populated by young Communist League people. It's basically a front for the Communist Party. Now, I can't say Scott Marks has a party card, but he's attended Communist Party religious conferences. He's a regular at Communist Party events. His kids hang around with the Young Communist League. If he doesn't hold a party card, he's at least a very deep Communist Party sympathizer. And it's not surprising that a reverend would be in the Communist Party. The Communist Party has many pastors in its ranks. They deliberately recruit pastors because the church is a very influential body and they want the influence. Over in Hartford, you also have a strong branch, not as strong as not as strong as New Haven, but it's pretty strong, and that's led by a guy called Winheimer. The ex-military guy, he's deep into the Communist Party, also a leader of the Connecticut Alliance for Retired Americans. And you also have Tom Connolly, another long-time communist who is also involved in CARA. So it's one of their main fronts. Now, in Connecticut, in the headquarters of the Connecticut Communist Party is at Howe Street, New Haven. It's the New Haven People's Center, and this is where the communism is organized from. This is where everything happens. I regard it as the capital of Connecticut. I think more happens there to affect life of the people of Connecticut than happens at the official state capital, to be honest. The current governor of Connecticut is, of course, Ned Lamont. And here's a little picture of Ned marching arm in arm with Reverend Scott Marks. And here's another picture of Governor Lamont marching also with Scott Marks. Now here he is with Communist Party leader Winheimer. And there's another picture of him with Winheimer. He is very close to the Connecticut Communist Party, as was his predecessor, Daniel Malloy. Now, it's not surprising that Ned Lamont would want to hang around with communists from time to time, because his uncle, Corliss Lamont, was one of the top communists in America at its peak. Back in the 40s and 50s, he was a leader of the American-Soviet Friendship Society, very active in Communist Party causes. He denied he was a Communist Party member, but he was identified in several hearings as an actual party member. So that's Ned's uncle, Corliss Lamont.
Well, sir, now, in order to couch your views properly, sir, is it true to say, you mentioned that you were one of the Americans who was generally friendly toward Soviet Union. Now, you made several trips to Russia, didn't you, during the 30s?
I made 2 trips, Mr. Huey, in 1932 and 1938.
And during that period, you were one of the Americans who thought that there was something enormously hopeful for mankind going on in Russia.
That's right, but I was never an apologist for them. I always saw the mistakes and the evils in the Soviet Union. It seems to me that any country has both its good and bad sides, and that's certainly true of Russia.
Now, the senators, Richard Blumenthal, the senior senator from Connecticut. Well, here he is with Winheimer. You know, it's good, obviously got a bit of a connection there. Here he is again with Winheimer. So he has no problems hanging around with communists. He goes to many of their seminars, many of their events. He hangs around with them quite a lot. But not as much as his partner, the junior senator from Connecticut, Chris Murphy. Now remember Chris Murphy, he was going on and on and on about Trump connected to Russia. He was leading the charge, Trump, Russia, Trump, Russia, Trump, Russia.
You tweeted this public comment, and you were briefed on the intelligence here, that there is evidence of a giant, quoting from you, multi-year effort to help Trump in 2020 by Russia. What can you tell us about that?
Well, what I can tell you is that it's much bigger and bolder and smarter than it was in 2016. The Russians have learned, and they are now trying to use U.S. persons and fake websites in order to proffer a narrative that helps President Trump's reelection.
Well, it just turns out that Chris is a little bit of a hypocrite. Here he is, as you'll see, with Communist Party member Winheimer, and Communist Party supporters Ruth Tulin-Sion and Marilyn Tisker. Here he is with Henry Lohendorf, and if you look over his shoulder, there's Joel Fishman. Here he is with Win Heimer of the Connecticut Alliance for Retired Americans. And here he is with Reverend Scott Marks. And here he is again with Marilyn Tisker and Win Heimer. Now, for several years, while he was abusing President Trump, Senator Murphy actually had a Communist Party member on his staff as his outreach director, a young man called Maxwell Goldman. Max Goldman, a Communist Party member, was serving on Chris Murphy's staff. Now, we need to understand that the Communist Party USA was once loyal to the Soviet Union, but now it is loyal to China. Don't get me wrong, it's still connected to the Russian Communist Party, but now it's loyal to China. So Chris Murphy, who was attacking Trump, had a member of the Communist Party on his staff, a member of a party that is loyal to both the Communist Party of Russia and to the Communist Party of China. Was that a little bit of a security risk? You know, so Chris Murphy was serving at the time on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. He's one of their top men. Do you think his activities would be of some interest to the Communist Party? And nobody thinks that having a communist on the staff is a problem. Now here's John Larson of Connecticut's 1st Congressional District. Connecticut has 5 Congress members. Here he is with Win Heimer. Here he is with Win again. And here's Tom Connolly of the Hartford, Connecticut Party holding up a sign campaigning for this man. The part of the power that the Communist Party has is that it runs campaigns to elect these people.